All right, welcome to our special edition of Know Your Candidates. This is for the Woodland School District Board position, and this is for Area 2. Is that correct, Debbie? I wrote it down and I can't see my notes.
Area 5.
Area 5. I should remember that. So now that I've said it twice, Area 5, it makes even a bigger impact. So welcome, thanks for joining us. Sorry you couldn't be with us on Sunday, but it's great you have a chance now. And so just like before, Debbie is going to be responding to the exact same questions. And just like the other candidates, she was sent these questions in advance. And so she was able to view these 8 questions. And then we do have 2 audience questions, which we've pocketed from Sunday that Debbie has not seen. And those will be our last 2 questions. And then she'll also be allowed a closing statement. And just like on Sunday, she'll have 2 minutes to respond. And then at the end of that, she'll have a 2-minute closing statement. So without further ado, welcome Debbie Decker. Please tell us about yourself.
Thank you, and thank you to KYC for offering me this opportunity. I'm Debbie Decker, and I currently serve on the school board representing Area 5. I'm a newcomer to Woodland. I've only lived here 35 years. My children attended Willow Spring School, Douglas Middle School, and Pioneer High School, and our grandsons attend Prairie and Maxwell. I was on the first site council at Pioneer and helped establish the PTA and the music booster groups at the school. Our roots go deep in Woodland. I bring a unique perspective to the board. I'm trained as a scientist and spent most of my career in higher education as a health and safety professional. I have expertise in industrial hygiene, building ventilation, and building design. This experience will be crucial as we work to implement our bond Measure Y. I strongly support targeted spending on facilities and operations to provide a safe and healthful environment in which to work and learn. I strongly support creative ways to tell our district's story to families and friends, community members and supporters. I was instrumental in providing leadership to the development of our district graduate profile, and I also carried forward a resolution in support of LGBTQ+ persons. I strongly support our district resolution 2821, denouncing racism and supporting equity, well-being, the safety of people of color, and the Black Lives Matter movement. By instilling in our youth a belief that every person deserves to live with dignity, be valued for their humility, and be treated ethically, the growth potential of our community is truly limitless. I strongly support an instructional focus on STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics, using inquiry-based and project-based instruction. Many scientists of my acquaintance also participate in the visual and performing arts, as creativity knows no boundaries. I strongly support career technical education, and I have encouraged growth in the depth and breadth of our offerings in CTE to give students the broadest experience possible to make decisions about their futures. I ask for your vote so I can continue to support teachers and staff in helping students to reach their full potential. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. All right, we're gonna get started with our first question. The question is this: because of district elections, the number of people you would represent is much smaller than when everyone was elected at large. What specific plans do you have to keep residents informed, to provide opportunities to hear opinions from residents, and to be available to hear complaints and solve problems?
Well, my phone number and my email address are available on the district website, and I always respond to inquiries. And do my best to respond in a timely way. And refer those inquiries to the appropriate staff person if it's a question, and to respond if it's a complaint or concern. Going forward, I've been thinking about developing an email distribution list. Don Saylor does something for his Board of Supervisors as a member of the Board of Supervisors. And he offers a summary of Board of Supervisor meetings following those meetings and what's kind of on the agenda and coming up. I have been discussing over time with site administrators about creating town hall style opportunities with site administrators so that parents and other community members have a chance to talk and to ask questions in a really open and collegial way. But now in the situation in which we find ourselves, town halls, in-person town halls are far more, are not on the table for us. The Zoom opportunity for a town hall is much more difficult, I think. But those are some of the ideas that I have going forward.
Thank you. And our second question for you is, so there are always expensive capital projects competing for limited dollars. Examples include a new heating and air conditioning system for Woodland High School, completing Spring Lake Elementary, building a new junior high to replace one, or the older and crumbling junior highs, another elementary school to accommodate the growing population of the city, repairing many of our older schools, and much more. Which of these or others are priorities for you, and how will you find the money to fund these projects sooner rather than 10 or 20 years from now?
Spring Lake has its own funding stream through developer fees, and we're on track to complete the build out of Spring Lake as developer fees come in. There were also some developer fees from Pioneer that we were able to tap for building restrooms and accessibility issues. We've put a Band-Aid on the Woodland High HVAC system. A new chiller has been installed. And the state of California expects communities to partner with the state to help fund capital improvements. And we've had a welcome infusion of one-time facility dollars from the state, but that source has been depleted. We absolutely need the help of our community to pass Measure Y. I've been pushing for a facilities master plan for over 2 years, and I don't feel that I can set priorities with having the big picture of our true facility needs and what those costs might be, and how we can best prioritize those dollars for the best outcome.
Thank you. So we have our third question for you. So typically when school districts put bond measures on the ballot to finance projects that are bigger than the general budget will allow, more measures pass than fail. In the last 2 decades, our school district has not been able to convince enough voters to pass a bond measure for even basic updates and needed repairs. What do you think the problem is? What are your plans for engaging the community and ensuring school bonds pass in future elections?
I truly don't know what the problem is. This is not the first time I've heard that question. I don't understand where that reluctance comes from. There seems to be this assumption in parts of the community that funds from the 1999 bond were misspent. You just come down the street from me, and Pioneer High School was built with those bond funds and was a successful, really successful project. Surrounding districts have passed multiple bonds. I think communicating clearly the bond priorities and engaging the Community Oversight Committee and broadly communicating their work will be crucial to this. Bond Oversight Committee is required in the ballot language and by law and by state law, and having their work guided by a robust facility master plan, I think will help the community to build trust with the community that we are good stewards of those bond funds, and that they will help continue to partner with us going forward, because this bond is not enough. It's just not going to be enough to solve all of our needs and our capital projects.
Thank you. So we're on to question 4. How will you measure the quality of our schools and whether our high school graduates are well prepared to enter the workforce or go on to additional education? What data is important for you to have to determine the health of our education system? In other words, how do you know if a school is good for our kids? If you could have any information to judge a school, what would you want?
Well, reflecting on the last year and a half or so, our graduate profile had just been approved and was ready to be implemented when we had to close schools and go into crisis mode, try to manage where we are right now. I will expect staff to return to profile implementation as we head into our next year and hopefully into our next phases of opening. And our and as we update our LCAP document, a local control accountability program plan, and those two pieces, the graduate profile and the LCAP, work together to help guide us towards what we're telling the community, what a student who graduates from Woodland Joint Unified, what the expectations of that student can be. They're a critical thinker, they're good communicators, they're kind, they're generous, they're I'm sorry I don't have the profile in my head, but those are the kinds of things that we want students to have as going forward. I mean, what data do I want? I want teachers and site administrators to reflect on how they think their school and students are doing. Who else would know best than teachers and site administrators? They would know where their gaps are and where their areas are for improvement and how they can go about filling those gaps and improving their student outcomes.
Thank you. All right, we're on to question number 5. Do you think the Woodland Teachers Association has too little, adequate, or not enough voice in district decisions?
I heard from a teacher friend recently about, I'm sorry, your questions are not in the same order that I have the questions. So I'm sorry, bear with me here. Could you repeat that question, please, where I
Sure.
find my note here?
Yeah, no worries. It's a great strategy for buying time. It's perfect. So the question is this. Do you think the Woodland Teachers Association has too little, adequate, or not enough voice in district decisions?
Okay, yeah, thank you. I found my note. The Woodland Education Association and the district have a good working relationship. And I think both the district and WEA collaborate pretty well on decisions. And I don't feel that that relationship is out of balance. I think WEA and the district have a good relationship. And I hear from teachers and pass that information along, and it's taken seriously. And I appreciate that, both from our bargaining team and from WEA's bargaining team. And so I think that relationship is okay. I think we're kind of hit the right spot there.
Nice, thank you. All right, we're moving on to our question 6, and I do apologize. These questions were generated and distributed with only the intent of asking 4 or 5, but no one knew which 4 or 5. We ended up asking all 8, and so that's why the order is different than what you received. So here is question number 6. Because every board member of the school board is elected by district, an important issue that might be most important to residents in your district may be of little importance to residents in another district, and vice versa. How will you balance the needs and desires of residents in your district with what might be in the best interest of the community at large?
And it is a balance. It truly is a balance. And the communication piece there is I think vitally important, about how decisions are made and how the board came to a decision. When we had to decide to close schools or not, my constituents were strongly against any kind of in-person instruction and continue to be very cautious, and their opinion aligns with my own, actually. And so I do appreciate taking input and opinions, not just from my communities, not just from my constituents, but from the entire community. And I think it's important to hear all those voices as I need to. Sometimes it's a symbolic no. If I know an item is going to pass anyway, and I may not, or my constituents may not agree with that. And I have made a symbolic no vote on occasion. And I'm not alone in that. My trustee colleagues do the same. And so it's a way to honor what my constituents are feeling, but also a way to help the board move forward, and the district move forward, in the way that the majority of the board feels is important.
Thank you. Our question number 7 is this. Debbie, there continues to be concern about how well students are learning when they are not in the classroom. Do you think some students will be permanently behind because of the challenges of distance learning? What are your specific plans to ensure students achieve their fullest potential no matter where they are located during the school day?
You know, I had a teacher friend recently talk about this, about kids being behind. Kids are behind. Well, behind who? Everyone is behind. And it's literally part of the teacher's skill set and their expertise in their professional practice to help students fill in their knowledge gaps. This is what teachers do. This is where they are. And I think we need to trust teachers to do what they do best, to meet their students where they are and support them in their practice as educators, and to support students as they need to be supported. But we have to trust teachers to do their teacher thing, and in which they take a great deal of pride, and they are such, teachers are rock stars, and working so hard right now to connect with students, to make sure that students are seen and heard, and that they're supported. And so that's my thought on that.
Thank you. So we have one more question that was prepared in advance, and then we'll have 2 audience questions for you. And this is our last prepared question. What experience do you have in giving policy direction to a chief executive officer, in evaluating the performance of a chief executive officer, or making decisions about a multi-million-dollar budget, staffing, capital improvements, labor contracts, educational policy, food service, and all of the other issues that face a school district of more than 60,000 people? If you don't have as much experience as you think you'll need, how will you quickly get up to speed?
Well, after 4 years, I feel quite comfortable navigating those issues. Recently, I helped develop an evaluation process for our superintendent. I also bring my experience from higher education and working with labor relations, and how those systems, those union systems, those HR systems work. I also have wide experience in construction management and design, and I was deeply involved in laboratory renovation and laboratory construction. And I won't go down the laundry list, but it's long. UC Davis doubled its assignable square footage in 10 years, and every building in that 10 years I had my hands on in some way. I was on the project teams for that. I've also been able to apply my budget experience in the school district to my professional society. I'm a member of the American Chemical Society, which is the largest professional society in the world, about 150,000 members, and a multi-$100 million budget. And I've been able to take my school board experience to some of my work with the American Chemical Society, and ask them hard questions about their budget and their budgeting process. So I am really quite, I don't ever want to say that I'm a long-time learner. I don't ever want to say that I feel completely competent, but I feel that I have the information and the background to be able to navigate those issues.
Thank you. And that concludes our prepared questions. And so we now have 2 questions from the audience that were asked on Sunday. And the first question is this: what personal qualities and experience will you bring to the school board that will assist you in working with your colleagues on the board and representing your constituents?
Personal qualities. What you see is what you get. I am who I am. I am who I am. Um, and I am the eternal optimist. My glass is half full. And so I bring that optimism to the table. Um, I have a strong, faith background, a strong faith family, and so I bring um, that to the table as well. I hope I'm a kind person, and I always want to respond to people with kindness, and that that everybody has their own demons that they're dealing with. And I don't know what road everybody's walking, um, and I don't ever want to attribute a negativity or bad faith to to someone who may not agree with me or my approach. They just have a different way of viewing a situation, and we want to offer grace, certainly in this situation right now, and 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 to bring to the table the science, my science background, my comfort level with looking at scientific data, and how research continues, and um, how we are in an evolving situation, and that I can bring that to the table as well.
Thank you. So we have one more question from the audience. And the question is, should the school district continue to have police officers functioning as school resource officers in our schools?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good question. Um, I had in um, I had gotten some correspondence when the SRO issue first came up, and so I reached out to the police chief, Chief Cav, and he cleared a big chunk of time in his schedule, and we had an hour-long conversation about his philosophy of policing and how SROs are trained, and um, how he views their role um, in our community and in the district. That I am I believe that we are just tremendously tremendously lucky to have a chief like Chief Cav as our police chief. He has a way of his philosophy of policing is to not I'm not being very articulate here, I'm sorry. I'm just really supportive of him and his work in the community, and his work with his SROs, and how they are how they interact with our students. Statistics show that a child needs 3, maybe 2 or 3 other adults who care about them outside of their family unit for them to be successful, for them to develop resiliency. And SROs can fill that role for some of our students, along with our staff, with custodians, office coordinators, and the like. They're teachers, site administrators. And so I think they fill a critical role in supporting students and helping students and teachers and staff feel safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and so that concludes all of our 10 questions. You do have an opportunity now to tell us in a closing statement why you think you'd be the best representative for the Woodland School District School Board for another 4 years.
I have found my board service to be extremely gratifying, and I feel like I bring a unique skill set to the table. I am intensely curious and I always want to know more and to understand more. And I just am so impressed and so grateful for our teachers and our staff and the hard work that they do every day to support students and families. And they love our community. And that's my story. I'm going to stick to it. Thank you.
Nice. And that concludes our school board candidate, Know Your Candidates. So thank you, Debbie, for coming and joining us and making it work. And everyone out there, thanks for making it all the way through the 10th question to hear me say thank you. So we're signing off. Have a good day.